JonBenét's body was found in their family home in Boulder, Colorado back on December 26th, the day after Christmas in 1996. Since then, the family has been under fire and grilled for being possibly attached to the murder of their daughter.
I did not kill my daughter, JonBenét.
I did not kill JonBenét. I did not have anything to do with it. I love that child.
Police want to talk to the brother about what he remembers that day. He was in the home the night JonBenét Ramsey died. There has been speculation about his involvement in her death. Lauren Schiller says DNA exonerated her brother.
It's hard for people to accept, I think, that someone would come into a home and murder a child from their bed. And we were perhaps an answer.
We are taking your calls, but back to the lawyers, Eleanor Odom, Renee Rockwell, Peter Odom. You know, Renee, you said something that I just don't think is legally accurate. Burke Ramsey is not a target of this investigation. He has the right.
Target?
As I was saying,
Sorry.
You said, if I were his lawyer, I'd tell him not to talk to police. He doesn't have a constitutional right not to talk to police. If you are a target, or you are a defendant or a suspect, then you have that right. Not if you're just a witness.
Let me just, if I can bring you back 14 years ago, one thing that I remember about this case that was very interesting, the first time we'd see it, these are well-to-do people. Do you recall, Nancy, when they lawyered up? These people, these victims, got attorneys, and it got the police so confused that I think it diverted the police, and all of a sudden the parents became suspects. The police, who knows if they would have, had they focused on the investigation instead of putting all the heat on the parents, who knows if they might not have gotten the killers.
Yeah,
I just think that it's
that
too
has
little,
absolutely
too late.
nothing to do with what I asked you. Weigh in, Peter Odom.
Nancy, the people that got lawyers ended up being suspected by the parents.
You know
who got
what?
lawyers ended up being suspected, and that threw the focus
and
off.
Peter, but let's.
That's true.
Eleanor, if you are a target, or you are a suspect, or you are a defendant, you have a right to refuse to undergo police questioning. Otherwise, no.
That's right. And remember, the grand jury can subpoena people, too, if the grand jury's doing an investigation and you have to show up.
As to Dr. Bethany Marshall, psychoanalyst and author of Deal Breakers. You know, Dr. Bethany, police apparently going to great pains to try to locate and talk to this young boy. Now, JonBenét Ramsey was murdered many, many years ago, 1996. Burke Ramsey, now the focus of police, not as a suspect or a defendant. What could he possibly know, Dr. Bethany?
Well, Nancy, I think the idea of repressed, recovered memories is highly unlikely in this case. First of all, that phenomena is extremely rare. The data shows us 1 in 10 victims of extreme sexual abuse do dissociate, but then they usually have dissociative disorder in childhood, and usually when they're under the age of 5 and they are raised by mothers who do not support the idea that they've been abused. This child was 9 years old. He had plenty of supports. His parents were supportive. He had the opportunity to tell and retell his story. He's gone on to college and to work and social life, so he does not have a dissociative phenomena. The only thing that they'll learn is if he has a different perspective at this point in life and remembers someone who could be a perpetrator.
Back to Larry Schiller. Larry, you know the case as well as or better than a lot of the cops on the case.
Yeah.
What do you make of it, Larry?
Look, let's just speculate. I mean, pure speculation. I think it's really corroboration. How do you know the police haven't found a shoe somewhere that matches one of the non-identified shoe prints in the basement? I think there's still one print that hasn't been identified. Maybe they want to show him the shoe and say, do you know whose shoe this might be? Do you have any idea, a friend of yours, a visitor, somebody who was at the party the week before? You know, that might be what they're looking for. I'm not saying that it's a shoe, but I'm using that as an example. I think at this point the only thing that Burke Ramsey can give to this case is corroboration. And how do you know they're not also talking to the father just because the story leaked about the brother? How do you know they're not talking to Fleet White or other people that were involved in this case?
I don't know. That's why I got you on the show. So
Well,
you can inform us about anything that you may know. We do
I don't
know
think,
they're trying to talk to Burt Ramsey.
Right, and
That's
I don't
all
think
we know right now.
And he's not going to be the only one they're going to talk to, because you cannot find a solution to this case with one person.
Larry, what is the status of police lie detectors that were administered around the time of the death? Who in the Ramsey family took lie detectors?
Well, the Ramseys took polygraph tests, I think about, if my memory is right, 14 years ago, about 3 months or 4 months after, and they completely were cleared in it. Then they took polygraph tests.
Wait. As I recall, the father passed his polygraph. I don't recall Burt was ever given a polygraph. Too young.
Oh no,
I'm
sorry.
That,
I didn't know you were asking about Burt. Burt was never given a polygraph. No, never.
As I recall it,
yeah.
Patsy Ramsey's polygraph was inconclusive by police. She went on to take a private polygraph.
And then she was polygraphed again, years later.
Privately.
And
but what about the police polygraph repeat?
Well, at first the police said it was inconclusive, but later on it was revealed when independent experts looked at that polygraph that in fact it was more likely she was telling the truth than she was not telling the truth. I mean, it's very clear. Look, we had a police department that was very, very conservative, ex-narcotics detectives that had no criminal homicide experience. And they thought that if they could take the family, get them in jail, they'd put them under pressure, somebody might break. And that's the way they operated on this case for a long period of time. Finally, the DA said, hey, you gotta give these people their constitutional rights. And that's when the battle broke out.
Out to Andrew J. Scott, former chief of police, Boca Raton, president of AJS Consulting. Andrew, is there really any way to put it back together again?
Yeah, I think there is, Nancy. And there's something that we really should focus on as to what the Boulder Police Department is doing. And that is a good police department that has any homicide has a cold case. And during the course of the years, cold cases are reviewed by different experienced investigators. And from that, this may very well be as a result of cold case investigators looking at the case with fresh eyes, recognizing that they need to be able to get additional information, and obviously the brother is one of those avenues.
To Dr. Michael Hunter, Chief Medical Examiner, Panama City, Florida, forensic pathologist. He's joining us via Skype. Investigators did find unknown male DNA on JonBenét's clothing. Many experts believe that DNA was there prior to the killing, whether it be in the manufacturing phase, the handling phase, some other phase of the underwear's production before it made it to the home. Is that possible?
Yeah, it's really not. I mean, the thing about DNA is it's very susceptible to detergent. Detergent is a great way to degrade DNA. So if it goes through the detergent typical washing cycle, you're going to degrade it. You're not going to be able to necessarily extract DNA prior to that point.
We lost our daughter. That's the worst possible thing that could have happened to us. Anything that has happened in the aftermath pales by comparison.
We would like to think that we don't know anyone that we have ever met in our lives who could do such a thing to a child.